In this video, I'm about to show you 35 English muffin brands you should never buy again, and exactly why, along with 10 clean, trustworthy options that are actually worth picking up. Starting with number 35, Great Value English Muffins. Great Value English Muffins look like a budget-friendly breakfast option, but once you dig into how they're made, the flaws become obvious. These muffins often rely on dense dough conditioners and moisture-retaining gums that give them an oddly chewy, rubbery texture instead of the classic soft interior with crisp edges. Many customers notice that Great Value muffins mold unusually fast once opened, a sign that the internal moisture levels are inconsistent, sometimes too high for shelf stability. Another issue is the flavor. Instead of a mild, yeasty bakery aroma, some batches carry a faint sour or stale flour smell, which usually happens when dough sits too long in holding bins during mass production. Even when toasted, the crumb doesn't develop that signature nooks and crannies structure. Instead, it compresses and burns quickly. For buyers hoping for a reliable breakfast base, Great Value often tastes processed, behaves unpredictably, and lacks the light, airy lift a real English muffin should deliver. Number 34. Clover Valley English Muffins. Clover Valley English Muffins might be convenient and cheap, but their quality issues show up the moment you take them out of the bag. The muffins tend to feel unusually dry on the surface while staying dense and gummy inside, a common effect when dough is overworked with stabilizers meant to extend shelf life. Some customers also report a faint chemical aftertaste, which can happen when bargain tier flour improvers interact with heat during baking. The crumb structure is often tight and compressed, leaving almost no air pockets to absorb butter or jam, which defeats the entire purpose of an English muffin. Another hidden issue: inconsistent browning. Because Clover Valley muffins are baked in large, rapidly moving oven systems, some batches come out pale, with raw-tasting centers, while others overcook at the edges. Even toasting doesn't fix the textural flaws. They harden quickly, dry out, and lose any sense of freshness. Clover Valley may be cheap, but it's far from satisfying. Number 33. Market Pantry English Muffins. Market Pantry English Muffins look neat, uniform, and bakery fresh in the bag, but the problems start as soon as you slice into one. The texture is noticeably compressed, lacking the signature air bubbles that give English muffins their lift. This usually happens when dough is rushed through the proofing stages to increase output volume. The flavor is another letdown, slightly metallic, slightly bland, a side effect of low-cost dough stabilizers and flavor-neutral oils used to keep the product soft longer. Consumers also complain about uneven toasting. The outside chars while the inside stays spongy, making it impossible to get that crisp, fluffy balance. Some batches flatten in the toaster, especially when moisture levels are off from long-distance shipping. Add to that the short post-opening lifespan, they stale rapidly, and you're left with a muffin that's more frustration than food. Market Pantry promises convenience, but the experience rarely matches real bakery quality. Number 32. Essential Everyday English Muffins. Essential Everyday English Muffins try to mimic national brands, but the results fall short in both texture and flavor. These muffins are known for being unusually stiff, a sign that the dough was overhydrated and then corrected with extra starches during mixing. Slice one open, and instead of airy pockets, you get compact layers that toast unevenly and resist butter absorption. Another recurring issue is a faint chalky aftertaste, which often comes from anti-caking agents used to coat the exterior before baking. The muffins also tend to dry out very quickly once opened, becoming brittle around the edges while staying chewy in the center, a clear indication of inconsistent moisture retention. Even toasting doesn't rescue them. The heat highlights the artificial notes and causes the crumb to toughen instead of crisp. For shoppers expecting a simple, reliable English muffin, Essential Everyday too often delivers a texture that feels industrial and a flavor that lacks any real freshness. Number 31. Best Choice English Muffins. Best Choice English Muffins appear soft and pillowy in the package, but the moment you open them, the shortcomings reveal themselves. The dough tends to be overly compressed, giving the muffin a bready, roll-like texture instead of the distinctive porous structure English muffins are known for. This typically happens when manufacturers speed through fermentation and rely on chemical leaveners to compensate. The flavor leans flat, with a slightly artificial sweetness that becomes more noticeable when toasted. Some buyers also mention that Best Choice muffins crumble strangely when cut, not because they're dry, but because the internal structure was never properly developed. Shelf stability is another issue. The muffins can swing between overly moist, leading to fast spoilage, and too dry, causing cracking and staleness. Once toasted, they brown unpredictably, often burning at the edges while staying dense inside. Best Choice aims to be a budget alternative, but the inconsistent texture and lack of proper rise make it a disappointing English muffin overall. Number 30. Shoppers value English muffins. Shoppers value English muffins come from large-scale bakery plants that often produce dozens of store-label items on the same equipment, and that's where the problems start. Some of these facilities have previously been involved in foreign material contamination recalls for sandwich rolls and buns, small plastic and dough blade fragments found during slicing. While not always tied directly to this muffin SKU, the same production lines are frequently used for multiple baked goods, raising concerns about oversight and equipment wear. The muffins themselves reveal quality shortcuts: an extremely tight crumb, uneven browning, and a dry, almost sawdust-like edge that appears when dough hydration is off. Customers also report inconsistent freshness. Some bags feel soft, others arrive stale because these muffins often travel long distribution routes before hitting shelves. Even toasted, they don't deliver the classic open crumb needed to hold butter or eggs. Instead of airy pockets, the interior compresses into a dense sponge that burns fast and tastes industrial. For a breakfast item that should feel light and warm, shoppers' value often ends up flat, stiff, and disappointingly processed. Number 29. First Street English Muffins. First Street English Muffins come from high-volume West Coast bakery suppliers known for mass-producing budget store-label breads. These suppliers have, in past years, faced multiple recalls involving bread and buns due to metal fragments and wire bristle contamination, not specifically this muffin, but the same category of conveyor and slicing machinery. That alone makes some shoppers cautious. The muffins themselves tend to be dense, with a gummy interior that tears instead of pulling apart cleanly. This usually happens when dough conditioning agents are overused to keep costs low. Flavor is another issue. Instead of a mild yeast note, some batches taste slightly chemical, the result of neutral-flavored oils breaking down during transport in warm climates. Even worse, First Street muffins have a habit of going from soft to rock hard within 1 or 2 days after opening, a sign of low-quality flour and inconsistent moisture control. Toasting doesn't improve them much. They scorch at the edges before crisping properly. For an essential breakfast bread, First Street often feels rushed, low quality, and unstable. Number 28. Signature Select English Muffins. Signature Select uses multiple contracted bakery facilities, and that inconsistency shows up in the muffins. One supplier for this category has previously been part of a nationwide recall involving bread products contaminated with small plastic pieces. This kind comes from worn sidewall scrapers used in dough mixers. While the recall did not single out English muffins, the manufacturing environment is shared across products. These muffins often feel slightly underproofed. The crumb is tight, the rise is low, and the interior looks more like a dinner roll than an English muffin. The flavor can be unusually flat, with a faint bitterness that emerges when dough strengtheners oxidize during hot storage. Once toasted, the surface develops hot spots. Some areas burn immediately, while others barely brown. Customers also complain about rapid staling, especially during dry seasons. Signature Select might look premium in packaging, but the internal structure and reliability fall far short of true bakery-level quality. Number 27. Food Lion English Muffins. Food Lion English Muffins are produced through large-scale bakery plants that have previously been connected to soft roll recalls for potential plastic contamination. Again, not this exact product, but the same machinery family. These operational concerns reflect in the final muffin quality. The dough structure tends to be overly stiff, suggesting excessive use of calcium propionate and dough conditioners to stretch shelf life in long-haul distribution. When sliced, the interior isn't filled with airy pockets. Instead, it compresses like a dense sponge, which makes the muffin toast unevenly. Some customers report a faint vinegar-like aroma, a side effect of over-acidified dough meant to accelerate fermentation artificially. Once toasted, Food Lion muffins dry out quickly, becoming brittle on the edges while staying rubbery inside. This imbalance makes them difficult to use for sandwiches or breakfast builds. For shoppers expecting a reliable budget muffin, Food Lion's offering disappoints with its uneven texture and processed flavor profile. Number 26. Harris Teeter English Muffins. Harris Teeter muffins come from shared baking facilities used for multiple private label breads, and those facilities have historically issued small-scale precautionary recalls for buns due to potential equipment-related contamination, loose plastic scraper pieces. While not tied directly to the English muffin SKU, it reflects the environment they're produced in. Quality-wise, these muffins lean dry and pale, often showing signs of rushed production, a weak rise, minimal yeast aroma, and an interior that collapses when sliced warm. Because Harris Teeter distributes across multiple states, the muffins experience temperature shifts that cause condensation inside the packaging, leading to premature staling or a slight gummy patch near the bottom. Toasting reveals more flaws. The edges burn long before the center crisps, and the crumb absorbs butter unevenly due to inconsistent pore structure. Even though the brand aims for mid-tier quality, the final experience often feels flat, bland, and lacking the signature toasty lift of a real English muffin. Number 25. Weiss Quality English Muffins. Weiss Quality English Muffins look harmless, but their biggest flaw is in the flour. Many regional suppliers that produce this line rely on low-protein winter wheat, which makes the dough collapse during the final proof. Instead of rising into airy pockets, the muffins end up with a flat, compressed sponge interior that never crisps properly. Another issue comes from the griddle plates. When old plates aren't resurfaced frequently, they leave behind slightly rancid oil residues, creating a faint, bitter aftertaste once toasted. Some customers describe it as burnt core flavor, which is typical of oxidized canola oil. Health-wise, these muffins carry a high glycemic spike, and refined starch eaten without protein in the morning can trigger rapid hunger and shakiness, something endocrinologists often warn about. Even worse, because the dough is baked at uneven tunnel oven temperatures, some batches develop overheated brown spots, which can increase acrylamide formation, a compound that nutrition experts associate with long-term inflammation. For a product meant to be simple, Weiss Quality often tastes unstable, uneven, and nutritionally empty. Number 24. Stop & Shop English Muffins. Stop & Shop's English muffins look like a simple, budget-friendly breakfast choice, but their ingredient profile tells a different story. The formula leans heavily on bleached flour, artificial dough conditioners, and high-sodium leavening agents that create volume but leave the crumb oddly dry and rubbery. Customers frequently report a chalky aftertaste, which comes from overprocessed flour blends fortified with synthetic vitamins. Another overlooked issue is the inconsistent texture. Some batches come out dense with tight air pockets, while others crumble apart when toasted, an indicator of rushed industrial mixing and low hydration control. Consumers have also complained about unpredictable freshness, with certain packages turning stale far sooner than their listed shelf date. Stop & Shop markets these muffins as a reliable, everyday staple, but the experience often falls short. From weak flavor to inconsistent baking quality, these muffins simply don't deliver the real English muffin texture breakfast lovers expect. Number 23. Giant Eagle English Muffins. Giant Eagle English Muffins appear bakery fresh, but a closer look at the formulation reveals shortcuts. The muffins often rely on enriched flour, added sugar, and a stack of preservatives designed to artificially extend shelf life. These additives may help the product last longer, but they also contribute to the dense, sometimes gummy texture many customers complain about. The biggest hidden issue is moisture imbalance. Poor hydration control during production often results in uneven rise. Some muffins puff up too much, while others stay flat and doughy. This creates hollow sections or thick, chewy centers that scorch instead of crisping in the toaster. Buyers have also noted off smells or a chemical bite, which happens when preservatives react with high-temperature storage. For a breakfast food that should be simple, Giant Eagle's muffins end up feeling overly processed. Inconsistent texture, unpredictable flavor, and heavy additive use make them an easy brand to skip. Number 22. Hy-Vee English Muffins. Hy-Vee's English muffins come wrapped in wholesome branding, but the formula behind them leans on cost-cutting ingredients. The muffins are typically made with refined flour blends, synthetic emulsifiers, and dough stabilizers that produce a spongy, artificial rise instead of a natural, airy one. This results in a rubbery chew and a center that never fully toasts, no matter how long it stays in the toaster. Another quiet problem is moisture retention. Many buyers report that Hy-Vee muffins feel damp in the package but dry out extremely fast once opened. This is a sign of inconsistent steam control during baking. Too much trapped moisture can lead to tough crusts, while too little causes rapid staling. Flavor complaints are also common, with many describing a bland, slightly metallic note from the fortified flour. Hy-Vee positions its muffins as an affordable, everyday choice, but the quality doesn't match the promise. Synthetic texture, weak flavor, and unstable freshness make them a poor pick for anyone who wants a reliable breakfast base. Number 21. Ingles English Muffins. Ingles English Muffins try to look like the classic diner-style option, but the biggest hidden issue is their overly compact dough. The muffins are produced using a low fermentation method that skips natural proofing, which eliminates the signature nooks and crannies an English muffin is supposed to have. Instead of a light split, you get a thick, tight interior that absorbs butter unevenly and burns easily on the edges. Another quiet problem is the formula's reliance on whitening agents and fortified flour blends that create a pale, artificial look but leave behind a flat, chalky taste. Many buyers have complained about a strange bitterness appearing once toasted, often linked to high-temperature reactions between the oxidized flour and added stabilizers. Ingles positions itself as a dependable regional bakery brand, but these muffins lack authenticity. With weak fermentation, poor flavor development, and a dense, pancake-like center, they fall far short of a proper English muffin experience. Number 20. Schnucks English Muffins. What separates Schnucks from other store brands is a hidden production shortcut: steam injection during baking. This technique is often used to create surface sheen quickly, but in muffins, it causes the outer layer to toughen prematurely while the inside stays underdeveloped. That's why many customers notice a leathery exterior paired with a strangely airy but flavorless middle. Flavor is another downfall. Schnucks uses a neutral base with minimal malt or cultured ingredients, resulting in a muffin that tastes closer to generic white bread than an English muffin. Several buyers report that toppings like jam slide off because the crumb is too smooth, lacking the porous texture needed to hold condiments. The result is a product that imitates the shape of an English muffin without delivering its identity. If you're expecting a hearty toasted bite with real structure, Schnucks' version is a disappointment. Number 19. Meyer English Muffins. Meyer's English muffins hide a different problem: inconsistency from store to store. These muffins are produced in multiple contracted facilities, which means the recipe behaves differently depending on the plant. Some batches come out pale and bland, others overly browned, and the interior density varies dramatically. This manufacturing inconsistency leads to unpredictable freshness and flavor, something many customers note in reviews. The flavor issues stem from their reliance on high-volume dough handling systems that overknead the dough, stripping away natural yeast character. Instead of the subtle tang an English muffin should have, Meyer's version ends up tasting muted and slightly metallic due to its fortified flour blends. Toasting doesn't help. Many buyers say the muffins stiffen instead of crisp. For shoppers who want reliability, Meyer's unpredictable batches and assembly line flavor make these muffins a poor fit. You never know what texture you're going home with. Number 18. Kroger. Kroger's value line English muffins look like a budget-friendly basic, but the formula behind them is surprisingly heavy. These muffins use a combination of refined white flour and dextrose-based sweeteners that cause rapid blood sugar spikes, exact opposite of what you want from a breakfast meant to keep you full. Many varieties also load up on sodium to compensate for their mild flavor, pushing your morning salt intake far higher than expected and putting strain on heart health over time. Another hidden problem is the vegetable shortening blend Kroger uses to keep the muffins soft for weeks. These semi-solid industrial fats contribute to higher LDL levels and can leave you feeling sluggish after eating. When toasted, the crumb often becomes dry around the edges while staying oddly chewy in the middle, a sign that dough conditioners and anti-staling chemicals are doing more work than real fermentation. Kroger markets these as an easy, cost-friendly breakfast option, but the combination of high sodium, quick-burning carbs, and processed fats makes them nutritionally weak. Budget-friendly? Yes. Body-friendly? Not really. Number 17. Trader Joe's gluten-free English muffins. Trader Joe's gluten-free English muffins appeal to health-conscious shoppers, but the ingredient list tells a more complicated story. Instead of wheat, the muffins rely heavily on tapioca starch, potato starch, and rice flour carbs that digest extremely fast and can cause sharp glucose spikes, especially first thing in the morning. The calorie density per serving is also higher than many wheat-based muffins because starch-heavy, gluten-free formulas often require added oils to bind the dough. To hold everything together, the muffins use xanthan gum and multiple stabilizers that can cause bloating or intestinal discomfort in people sensitive to gums. Many customers also report that these muffins develop a slightly gummy center when toasted, which comes from the way starch gels when exposed to high heat. While Trader Joe's markets these as a clean, gluten-free option, The texture issues and rapid digesting carb blend make them less ideal for steady energy. For gluten-free eaters looking for balanced nutrition, these muffins are more of a starch bomb than a wholesome morning fuel. The charming label hides a formula that's hard on blood sugar and tough on digestion. Number 16. Glutino gluten-free English muffins. Glutino's gluten-free muffins target sensitive eaters, but their nutritional trade-offs are hard to ignore. The primary ingredient is white rice flour, one of the highest glycemic gluten-free flours available, meaning it converts to glucose quickly and can create sharp hunger rebound soon after eating. To compensate for rice flour's blandness, the recipe adds higher than average sodium levels and sunflower oil, bumping up both salt and calorie load. A lesser-known issue is how glutino muffins behave in the gut. The formula uses cellulose and resistant starch fibers that add bulk but offer little real nutrition, often causing digestive discomfort for those who don't tolerate manufactured fibers well. When toasted, the muffins can become rigid on the outside while developing a pasty interior, a sign of starch separation during heating. While Glutino positions itself as a trusted gluten-free bakery brand, these muffins sacrifice balance and texture for shelf stability. The end result? A product that's low in nutrients, high in fast-burning carbs, and harder on digestion than you'd expect from a gluten-free specialty item. Number 15. Panera. Panera's retail English muffins carry the same branding people associate with their cafes, but the packaged version is engineered very differently. These muffins rely on ultra-fine milled flour that digests so quickly your energy drops soon after eating. The calorie-to-fiber ratio is unusually unbalanced, meaning you get a lot of starch without anything that slows absorption or supports gut comfort. The real hidden issue is Panera's moisture-locking formulation designed for shelf stability. These muffins use humectants that trap water inside the crumb, which prevents them from drying out but leads to a dense, damp sponge texture when toasted. This trapped moisture also encourages tunneling inside the crumb, small hollow spaces that cause toppings to slide rather than soak in evenly. Panera sells a bakery image, but the packaged version trades natural fermentation for texture chemicals. The result is a muffin that feels soft but digests fast, spikes blood sugar, and never delivers the structure of a true bakery muffin. Number 14. Oro-Wheat Extra Crisp English Muffins. Oro-Wheat's Extra Crisp line promises a gourmet crunch, but achieving that signature snap requires formula tweaks most shoppers don't notice. These muffins use a higher portion of caramelizing agents, which push the browning reaction harder during baking. While this does create crunch, it also amps up surface sugars and increases the overall calorie density of each muffin. The bigger concern is the aggressive toasting profile. Because these muffins are pre-baked at higher heat, they dry out faster at home. This dryness leads people to toast them longer, which concentrates sodium and intensifies the crust, something that can irritate the mouth and digestive tract for those sensitive to rough textures. The interior becomes thin and brittle, offering very little chew or nutritional value. Extra crisp may sound appealing, but nutritionally it turns into a carb-heavy, low-moisture product that's rougher on digestion and higher in concentrated starch than classic English muffins. Number 13. Loven Fresh. Aldi's Loven Fresh muffins are inexpensive for a reason. The formula is built around aggressive shelf-life maximizers. The flour blend is heavily treated, stripping away natural wheat oils and flavor compounds, which leaves the muffins flat-tasting and overly dependent on salt for flavor. That's why these muffins often have noticeably elevated sodium for their size. A second hidden issue comes from the anti-staling additives used in the dough. These compounds keep the muffins from firming up naturally, which is why many shoppers report that the centers stay spongy or collapse when sliced. When toasted, these anti-staling agents can create a film-like texture on the crust, making the muffin feel chewy and resistant rather than crisp. The low price is attractive, but the trade-offs show up in texture, nutrition, and overall eating experience. Loven Fresh delivers volume, not quality, leaving you with a muffin that digests fast, tastes salty, and feels artificially engineered. Number 12. Old-Fashioned Hearth English Muffins. Old-Fashioned Hearth sounds artisanal, but nutritionally it leans heavy on refined white flour, which typically carries a glycemic index between 70 to 85, one of the fastest absorbing carbohydrate ranges. This means blood sugar rises sharply and crashes just as quickly, especially when a muffin is eaten without protein. Many varieties also contain minimal fiber, often less than 1 gram per muffin, leaving nothing to slow digestion. The deeper issue is the oil quality. Old-Fashioned Hearth often uses standardized vegetable oil blends, which bakery science notes oxidize rapidly during storage and transport. Oxidized oils form lipid breakdown products that can contribute to inflammation and digestive heaviness when consumed regularly. Heat exposure during toasting further accelerates oxidation, causing the slightly stale or oily aftertaste many customers report. With high GI carbs, low fiber, and unstable processed oils, old-fashioned Hearth's muffins behave more like a quick sugar hit than a balanced breakfast. The brand's old-world name hides a nutritionally aggressive formula that drains energy instead of sustaining it. Number 11. Nature's Promise. Nature's Promise positions itself as a better-for-you store brand, yet the regular line English muffins rely heavily on evaporated cane sugar and fast-acting yeast blends that shorten fermentation. Shortened fermentation is known to reduce natural organic acid development important for flavor, digestibility, and blood sugar stability. The result is a sweeter, faster-burning carb that can spike glucose more sharply than long-fermented breads. A concerning detail is the mineral imbalance. These muffins are often seasoned with sodium levels comparable to many store brands, 180 to 230 milligrams per muffin, but they lack balancing minerals like potassium or magnesium. Research shows high sodium, low mineral ratios can contribute to bloating and short-term water retention. The formula also includes acidity regulators, such as citrates, which, while safe, are known to aggravate sensitive stomachs when combined with refined starches. Despite the natural labeling, the regular line behaves like a standard, mass-produced muffin. Quick-burning sugars, high sodium, minimal fermentation, and additives that undermine digestive ease. Number 10. Food Club English Muffins. Food Club is priced low, and the nutrition panel reflects it. These muffins use enriched, ultra-processed flour, which USDA data shows loses most of its natural B vitamins and minerals before enrichment. The result is a calorie-dense but nutrient-light product. Their sodium content can also run on the higher side of store brands, some formulations reaching the 220 to 240 milligram range, contributing to early-day fluid retention or elevated sodium intake for those on heart-conscious diets. A structural concern lies in Food Club's use of dual leavening systems, yeast plus chemical leaveners. Bakery science notes that this combination can cause heterogeneous gas pocketing, which explains the random tunnels and compressed spots many buyers find inside the muffin. Uneven structure leads to uneven toasting, with some areas turning hard while others stay doughy, which can make digestion uncomfortable for some individuals. Food Club's affordability comes at the cost of stability, nutrient density, and balanced baking chemistry. What you save at checkout, you often pay for with inconsistent texture and nutritionally thin results. Number 9. Deli Express English Muffins. Deli Express muffins are meant for convenience, but that convenience comes with a high added sugar load for their size, often more than many competing brands. Refined carbs plus added sugars digest extremely fast, causing blood glucose spikes and energy crashes later in the morning. Their pairing of high GI flours with quick sugars makes them one of the least stable options for steady energy. Because these muffins are designed for grab-and-go sandwich assembly, they contain preservatives formulated to withstand extended shelf exposure. One common preservative in similar convenience products, calcium propionate, is documented in several studies to trigger gastric irritation or headaches in sensitive individuals. Their stabilizer-rich formula also creates a sticky chew when toasted. This is a known reaction when gums gelatinize under high heat, which can slow down digestion. Deli Express prioritizes durability over nutrition. With rapid digesting carbs, added sugars, and shelf-life chemicals that weigh down the stomach, these muffins are a poor choice for anyone aiming for balanced, steady morning fuel. Number 8. Bimbo English Muffins. Bimbo is one of the largest commercial bread manufacturers in the world, but scale comes with formulation shortcuts. Their English muffins rely on high GI refined flour, GI 70 to 85, paired with added sugars, which creates a rapid glucose spike and leads to mid-morning energy crashes. The fiber content remains extremely low, often under 1 gram per muffin, meaning nothing slows absorption or supports stable digestion. Another hidden concern is the use of intrasterified fats, industrial fats, used to create softness without using real butter or traditional fermentation. Multiple lipid studies show that intrasterified fats can negatively affect HDL-LDL balance and prolong the heavy stomach sensation after meals. Bimbo also incorporates mono and diglycerides, which commercial bakeries use to stretch shelf life, but which can interfere with proper browning and leave the centers doughy when toasted. Bimbo's muffins look uniform and soft, but nutritionally they're a fast-burning starch paired with processed fats, not the kind of foundation that supports long-lasting fullness or clean digestion. Number 7. Pepperidge Farm. Pepperidge Farm has a premium image, but the regular line English muffins lean heavily on sodium and enriched flour to maintain consistency across mass production. A single muffin can reach 230 to 260 milligrams of sodium, which is noticeably higher than many competitors and can push you toward the upper limit early in the day, especially for individuals monitoring blood pressure. The flour blend is extremely fine, digesting quickly and contributing to rapid glucose elevation. A less obvious issue is the accelerated fermentation style Pepperidge Farm uses. Rather than slow-rise doughs that develop flavor naturally, these muffins rely on controlled humidity chambers and dough relaxers to speed up production. Bakery science notes that such methods reduce aromatic compounds, leaving breads tasting bland while still delivering heavy starch loads. This is why Pepperidge Farm muffins often toast unevenly crispy edges with a soft interior that doesn't fully dry. With high sodium, refined starch, and minimal fermentation complexity, these muffins offer consistency, not quality. They fill the stomach temporarily, but don't offer the balanced energy a breakfast bread should. Number 6. Sara Lee English Muffins. Sara Lee English muffins are known for softness, but that softness comes from a heavy use of emulsifiers, humectants, and enriched starches. The muffins frequently include calcium propionate as a mold inhibitor, a preservative documented to cause gastric irritation or headaches in sensitive individuals. Combined with low fiber, often around 1 gram, these muffins digest quickly and contribute little to satiety. The sodium content is another concern. Sara Lee products often fall into the 200 to 240 milligrams per muffin range, which, paired with their high carbohydrate load, can increase post-meal bloating and water retention for certain consumers. Their fat content is typically low but derived from industrial shortenings, which, while technically trans fat-free, can contain trans fat precursors formed during processing compounds associated with higher LDL levels in frequent consumers. The softness feels pleasant, but nutritionally, the muffins behave like a quick-burning carb spiked with sodium and softened with processing aids. Instead of offering balanced energy, they create fluctuation-fast fullness followed by an equally fast crash. Number 5. Pillsbury Toaster Muffins. Pillsbury's frozen toaster muffins may look like a convenient breakfast shortcut, but the freeze-thaw process used in production changes the dough at a microscopic level. When dough is frozen, ice crystals form inside the gluten network, stretching and weakening it. By the time it reaches your toaster, the internal structure is partially collapsed, which is why Pillsbury toaster muffins often feel gummy in the middle, even when the outer layer browns fast. To prevent this structural breakdown, manufacturers add cryoprotectants and stabilizers that aren't found in traditional fresh muffins. These additives increase water retention, making digestion harder and slowing stomach emptying. For people with sensitive digestion, this often translates to a heavy, lingering fullness after breakfast. The texture problems aren't random, they're the result of freeze preservation chemistry. Pillsbury's frozen muffins survive the freezer well, but your stomach pays for that durability with slower digestion and compromised texture. Number 4. Franz English Muffins. Franz uses industrial enzyme-based dough relaxers to keep the muffins uniform across multiple factories nationwide. These enzymes partially break down gluten strands before baking, reducing dough resistance so machines can process thousands of units per hour. But this shortcut weakens the muffin's internal structure. The result is a muffin that feels fragile when sliced and collapses under toppings because the gluten lattice never fully develops. This also affects nutrient uptake. Bakery science notes that properly developed gluten slows carbohydrate absorption, but enzyme-weakened dough digests faster, which means quicker carb breakdown and shorter-lived satiety. Franz looks like a classic regional bakery brand, but the reliance on enzyme-softened dough creates a muffin that lacks structure, collapses easily, and rushes through your system instead of fueling you evenly. Number 3. Aunt Hattie's English Muffins. Aunt Hattie's muffins lean heavily on acid regulators to extend shelf life and stabilize flavor. These acidity controls keep the product tasting consistent over long storage periods, but when toasted, they concentrate and intensify. That's why many people report a sharp, sour bite after heating these muffins compared to other brands. From a digestive standpoint, combining high-acid dough with low-fat, fast-digesting starch can trigger uncomfortable reactions in people prone to reflux or acidity swings. Food chemistry research shows that acidity boosters become even more reactive when exposed to high heat, exactly what happens in your toaster. Aunt Hattie's looks like a simple old-fashioned brand, but the acidity-heavy formula makes the texture sharp, the flavor harsh, and digestion more irritating than expected. Number 2. King's Hawaiian Savory Muffins. King's Hawaiian's signature sweetness comes from its high sugar concentration, and that sweetness completely changes how the muffin behaves under heat. Sugar caramelizes at toasting temperatures, creating faster browning and increasing the formation of acrylamide's browning byproducts linked to cellular stress when consumed in excess. Because the dough is enriched with sweet dairy solids and fruit-based flavoring agents, the crumb is denser and more calorie-dense than standard English muffins. The combination of refined flour plus high sugar means the muffin behaves more like a dessert bread, pushing you toward blood sugar spikes followed by rapid energy crashes. Delicious? Yes. Functional as a breakfast staple? Not really. King's Hawaiian's savory muffins trigger browning reactions and sugar metabolism patterns that behave more like pastries than breakfast fuel. Number 1. Sunbeam English Muffins. Sunbeam English muffins depend on highly stripped enriched flour with extremely low protein content. Protein plays a key role in slowing digestion and stabilizing glucose uptake. When it's missing, the muffin acts like a fast-burning starch bomb. Sunbeam's protein content typically sits at the low end of the category, creating an empty calorie effect you feel full for minutes, not hours. Because the flour is milled so fine, the muffin has almost no meaningful texture, which eliminates the natural resistance your digestive system uses to slow down carbohydrate breakdown. This produces a rapid glucose surge, followed by a predictable crash that leaves people hungry long before their next meal. Sunbeam's nostalgic branding hides a deeper issue. The protein-carb imbalance makes these muffins fast to eat, fast to digest, and slow to satisfy, which is the opposite of what a breakfast carb should deliver. But don't worry, it's not all bad news. Some English muffin brands are actually clean, simple, and made with real ingredients. They might not be the fluffiest on the shelf, but they're the ones you can enjoy without worry. Starting with number 10, Dave's Killer Bread. Dave's Rockin' Grains English muffins stand out because they use whole organic grains instead of refined flour. The blend includes oats, barley, and cracked wheat, creating a slower digesting carb profile that supports steady blood sugar rather than spikes. Each muffin often delivers 4 to 5 grams fiber and 5 to 6 grams protein, giving sustained morning energy without heaviness. The biggest advantage is the absence of artificial preservatives or dough conditioners. These muffins rely on real fermentation to develop structure, which studies show improves mineral absorption, especially magnesium and zinc from whole grains. The toasted texture is naturally crisp, not chemically assisted, a sign of proper gluten development rather than industrial enzymes. If you want a nutrient-dense, energy-stable English muffin with real grain flavor and clean ingredients, Dave's Rockin' Grains is one of the most trustworthy options in grocery stores. Number 9. Bay's Original English Muffins. Bay's Original English Muffins are unique because they're refrigerated, not shelf-stored, meaning they don't require heavy preservatives. This drastically reduces exposure to synthetic mold inhibitors found in many ambient muffins. Their ingredient list is short and bakery-like, featuring unbleached flour, yeast, salt, and minimal oils. A key benefit is Bay's slow-rise fermentation. Instead of forcing the dough to rise with accelerants, Bay's uses controlled proofing, a technique known to increase flavor, improve crumb stability, and reduce glycemic impact compared to rapid-rise commercial muffins. They also toast more evenly because the dough isn't enzyme softened. For anyone who wants a clean, classic English muffin made with simple ingredients and traditional baking methods, Bay's Original remains one of the most reliable and best-tasting choices. Number 8. 365 Organic Whole Wheat English Muffins. 365 organic whole wheat muffins offer a rare combination of 100% whole wheat flour, organic certification, and no artificial stabilizers. Whole wheat provides naturally higher fiber, 3 to 4 grams per muffin, and key minerals like iron and manganese that refined flour strips away. Because the grain stays intact, digestion is steadier and hunger rebounds more slowly. The biggest advantage is their sodium profile. Many varieties stay in the 160 to 180 milligrams range, noticeably lower than mainstream brands that climb above 220 milligrams. Lower sodium paired with whole grains supports better heart health and less morning water retention. If you're looking for a pantry-friendly whole grain muffin with clean ingredients, predictable texture, and lower sodium, the 365 organic whole wheat line is one of the safest everyday picks. Number 7. Ezekiel Sprouted English Muffins. Ezekiel Sprouted muffins are unlike any other because they don't use flour at all. Instead, the dough is made from sprouted grains and legumes, wheat, barley, millet, lentils, soybeans, forming a complete protein with all essential amino acids. Sprouting boosts nutrient availability and lowers the glycemic response, making these muffins much gentler on blood sugar. They contain no added sugars, no preservatives, no gums, and rely entirely on natural sprouting and fermentation for structure. This gives them a dense crumb that holds toppings well without artificial dough conditioners. For people interested in metabolic health or long-lasting energy, Ezekiel muffins are one of the few that behave like a full meal, not a fast carb. Clean, whole, sprouted, and nutritionally robust Ezekiel muffins remain a top-tier, scientifically sound choice for anyone seeking the healthiest possible English muffin. Number 6. Stone and Skillet English Muffins. Stone and Skillet is one of the cleanest, most artisanal English muffin brands on the market. Unlike mass-produced muffins, these are pan-baked and naturally fermented, giving them a thicker, more rustic structure that's easier to digest. Natural fermentation lowers phytic acid, meaning better mineral absorption and smoother digestion compared to fast-rise commercial dough. They use unbleached flour, real butter, or olive oil, product-dependent, and zero preservatives, so the flavor comes from proper fermentation, not additives. Their signature airy interior forms through long proofing, creating pockets that caramelize beautifully when toasted, no dough conditioners necessary. If you want an English muffin closest to restaurant or bakery quality, Stone and Skillet is one of the most premium, trustworthy, and clean ingredient options available. Number 5. Wolferman's Bakery English Muffins. Wolferman's specialty muffins are famous for their super thick format, but what makes them safe and high quality is ingredients and technique, not size. They use slow-rise dough, real cultured dairy, and steady low-temperature baking, a combination that produces a creamy crumb without the need for emulsifiers or industrial texture agents. Because their muffins are thicker, they naturally have more protein and fiber per unit than the typical store brand, and their sodium levels remain moderate for the size. The split bake allows even toasting without burning a sign of well-developed gluten rather than chemical dough relaxers. For anyone wanting a gourmet, bakery-grade muffin with rich flavor, slow fermentation, and clean ingredients, Wolferman's remains one of the top premium choices. Number 4. Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's organic whole wheat muffins are one of the cleanest, budget-friendly options. They use 100% organic whole wheat flour, which increases natural fiber and nutrients while reducing the glycemic load. Whole wheat also helps stabilize blood sugar and keeps hunger steady for longer. Unlike many whole wheat products, these muffins avoid artificial sweeteners, dough conditioners, and shelf-life preservatives. Their sodium levels are generally moderate for the category, and the ingredient list stays short and recognizable. The organic certification means the flour comes from crops grown without synthetic pesticides, giving a cleaner nutrient profile. If you want a simple, everyday whole grain muffin that's organic and lacks unnecessary processing, Trader Joe's is one of the safest and most consistent buys. Number 3. Rudy's Organic English Muffins. Rudy's Organic Bakery is known for its minimalist, additive-free formulas. These muffins rely on organic flour, organic cane syrup in tiny amounts, and natural oils like sunflower or olive oil instead of shortening. No artificial preservatives, no emulsifiers, no chemical leaveners. Their dough is fermented long enough to develop flavor naturally, which improves digestibility and reduces the glycemic impact. Because the muffins use clean oils and organic grains, the fat profile is healthier and less inflammatory than industrial bakery oils. They also toast evenly, without collapsing a sign of proper gluten development. If your priority is clean ingredients and natural fermentation, Rudy's is one of the safest, most trustworthy organic brands available nationwide. Number 2. Vermont Bread Company. Vermont Bread Company makes old-fashioned, slow-proofed organic muffins with zero artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. They rely on unbleached organic flour and natural fermentation, which creates a mildly tangy taste and a less aggressive glycemic response than fast-rise methods. Their sodium levels are often lower than mainstream brands, and they avoid the gums and stabilizers common in commercial bakery lines. Because the structure comes from real gluten development, not enzymes, these muffins toast cleanly and maintain texture even with toppings. For shoppers who want a New England-style organic muffin with minimal processing, Vermont bread offers one of the cleanest ingredient lists in the category. Number 1. Thomas's Sourdough English Muffins. Thomas's product that belongs on the safe list. The sourdough line uses a true cultured starter, giving it a lighter acidity, longer fermentation, and improved digestibility. Natural sourdough fermentation is clinically shown to reduce phytic acid, improve mineral absorption, and slow starch digestion, lowering the glycemic impact compared to regular enriched flour muffins. This version avoids heavy sugars and relies more on natural organic acids for flavor. The texture is created through fermentation rather than dough conditioners, which gives a cleaner crumb and more even toasting. While still mass-produced, it's significantly cleaner than Thomas's regular or value line English muffins. If you want the safest product from a mainstream national brand, Thomas's sourdough is easily the best choice, consistent, reliable, and supported by real fermentation science.